joining me in the studio. I'm really honored to have him here, Josh Tickell.
Josh Tickell.
Josh Tickell.
Josh Tickell.
Josh Tickell.
Please welcome Josh Tickell.
Josh Tickell.
Josh Tickell.
Josh Tickell from the movie Fuel.
Fuel, The Big Fix, have won tons of awards. His new movie coming out called Pump.
So when we talk about who rules the markets, when we talk about why are those companies exponentially changing, when we talk about why are things like Kodak, Continental, Enron, why are these companies gone, never to be returned? Why are things like the Oculus Rift worth $1 billion? Two, thank you. It's because who's driving the market has changed. Who's in the driver's seat has changed. And of course, it's disruptive. This is a disruptive generation by its nature. 2.3 billion people, which equals $1.3 trillion in annual spending. This is the largest demographic and the largest spending group ever to exist on planet Earth, okay? They know you as conservative, I'm sorry if you're a baby boomer, cynical, I'm sorry if you're Gen X, and entitled, I'm sorry if you're a millennial. There's a millennial. So they want flex time versus work hours. Don't tell me to work 9 to 5. Just give me a list of things to do. I'll do it when I need to. They demand transparency. Don't lie to millennials. They would like to work overseas, preferably. Thank you. Can I have that overseas ticket? I only expect to work with your company for about 2 years because I'm building my resume, and after that I'm going to work for somebody better. You're basically a stepping stone, kind of like my last boyfriend. And I'm very optimistic about the future because I'm going to change it because I'm special and I know so much more about the world than you do. So these people really would prefer to make a difference than make more money. Money is ranked number 3 on the list of priorities for most millennials entering the workforce. It doesn't mean they don't want to accelerate quickly. They'll want to be CEO generally in about 6 months. Every time I give one of these talks, there is at least one young person that comes up to me and they say, thank you for at least trying to get into my world. Although you had a couple things wrong.
He is really forcing the older generation to see what the newer generation already sees.
And I think Josh has done a brilliant job taking something that's pretty complex and giving it something with some tools you can hold in your hands.
Anybody, whether you're a company or just an individual that's either interested in marketing to that generation or hiring that generation, it's incredibly valuable to have this kind of insight.
It really blew my mind, especially the part about how much the social value of the company needs to be integral to their message and branding. So it's fantastic. I'm taking a picture of every slide.
Okay, I just want to get a sense of who's in the audience. So those of you who were born between 1980 and 2000, you're called millennials. Can you raise your hands? Okay, a lot of you. Thank you. You can put your hands down. So I have bad news for you guys, and I have good news. The bad news is, according to the media, you are the most narcissistic, self-absorbed people ever. The good news is, this presentation is all about you. So I became interested in generational dynamics through my work in film. You know, when I began making films in the 90s, most of the people who showed up to my movies were young. And that's continued for over 10 years. And what I've realized is from a few thousand people with the first movie to 10,000 to millions to eventually 50 million viewers, mostly between the age of 18 to 24, this is a generation that's very interested in social change and social issues. What I want to do today is create a really powerful context to understand the people who are inside Generation Y. And then I want to talk a little bit about some of those specifics that the generation is dealing with. And then I want to move on to values. Because without that context, without those specifics, it's really hard to understand the values. And if we don't understand the values, we don't have a basis for communication. So let's talk a little bit about context. Raise your hand if you were born between 1946 and 1964. Okay, it's always, it's always tepid. It's always like, Is anybody watching? Okay, those of you who raised your hands and the 50 or so that didn't are baby boomers. You are known by the other generations as conservative. It doesn't mean you are conservative. This is the stereotype that people are giving you as a generation. Now, the baby boomer label comes from the baby boom that occurred at the end of World War II and extended until the Beatles invaded the United States of America. Actually, what happened was the birth control invaded the United States of America, and that ended the baby boom. And then there was this middle generation called Generation X, of which I find myself a member. Raise your hand if you're a Gen Xer. All right, we've got a pretty good mix out here, thank you. So I call the Generation X, I call us kind of the oops generation. We were really the first generation where the birth control pill was being used, and it takes a while to get used to how these things work. So if you survey your Generation X friends, chances are many of them were unplanned. And then this is the biggest generation in history. We call them Generation Y. The media tends to call them millennials. They don't love that term, by the way. And what's amazing about this generation is around 1980, this surge in births happened. And that generation has seen the most change in the shortest period of time in history. Because of that, they are really a different group of people unto themselves. If you're of the boomer generation, we said, look, this is your stereotype, conservative. If you're Gen X, people know you as cynical. And unfortunately, if you're from Generation Y, people know you as entitled. This doesn't mean this is who you are. These are the stereotypes. So let's talk a little bit more about those stereotypes, especially when it comes to Generation Y. If you're a manager, if you're a parent, if you work with members of Generation Y, chances are these are some of the things you may find yourself saying about those millennials. And these are cliche. You can read them in the media, you can read them in the press, you can read them online over and over and ad nauseum until this really forms a pretty fixed view of how Generation X, baby boomers, and even Generation Y views itself. But what I'm going to say today is I'm going to challenge you to let go of these complaints and to sort of have an open mind. Because this view may just be something that's been reinforced over and over and over by repetition. And there may be some deeper levels that we can get to. I'm not saying these are untrue. I'm just saying there's much more to this story than this, okay? The flip side of this is Generation Y has its own complaints about you, baby boomers. For instance, one of their complaints about you is that you're not too savvy with technology.